manufacturing industry is in large part an international industry nowadays, which means prices are set internationally. Manufacturers cannot do much about that, but they get hit with costs domestically. We can do a lot about their costs in terms of taxes and regulation. We have the second highest corporate tax penalty in the world. We need to do better than that. We need to open up foreign markets. A lot of them are closing their markets to our people. Our people are not afraid to compete if the markets are open and the currency is not devalued.
Congressman?
Yeah, let me answer that. You know, Senator Thompson, there is one place where the federal government has a role in manufacturing, and that's ensuring that everybody's playing by the rules. Now, when Communist China devalues their currency by 40%, they undercut American products around the world. They undercut them so low that we can't even pay for the cost of materials and meet their prices. Now, that has put 1.8 million working Americans out of work. And that job, the job of enforcing those rules, is the president's job. That's what I intend to do.
Let me ask Senator McCain, you know, when a lot of us grew up in the late 50s and early 60s, a young guy could come out of high school, marry his girlfriend from school, get a job at a big industrial plant making planes or making subways, and provide for a family with a middle-class income, and his spouse wouldn't have to work. Will we ever go back to that world again?
I'd like to say yes, Chris, but I think we are in the midst of a revolution that we haven't seen since the Industrial Revolution. A lot of people don't know that 50,000 Americans now make their living off eBay. We know that people have been left behind. We know that the tax code is eminently unfair. We know that one of the big problems right here in Detroit is that before they turn a wrench on a new car, it's a $1,700 legacy cost for health care for their retired employees. For Toyota, it's $200. We're going to have to fix health care. We're going to have to fix Social Security. And this line about it's just discretionary spending that's a problem. The problem is, my friend, the American people no longer have trust and confidence in us that we will fix anything. As president, I'll fix them. And the point is that we need to have job retraining programs. We need to go to the community colleges. We even need, if you're a senior laid-off worker and who gets another job, to make up in compensation for the amount of money that's the difference between the job that they lost. We have to fix these programs, but first, we've got to go to the American people with clean hands. We got to tell them we've stopped spending $3 million to study the DNA of bears in Montana. I don't know if that's a paternity issue or a criminal issue. We've got to tell them that we will not spend $2 billion on an aircraft tanker, which I was able to stop and save the taxpayers $2 billion because of this incredible, extravagant waste in defense spending today, which is the biggest part of our budget.
Governor.
Go ahead, Congressman Tancredo.
Yeah, I just want to quickly respond. I certainly can agree with the senator on one thing, that the people of this country believe that the government is broken and hasn't fixed their problems, to a large extent because of the senator's efforts in support of illegal immigration. That's one reason why they're concerned, and you're absolutely right. The government hasn't fixed the problem. Okay. And for every single illegal immigrant family in this country, it costs $20,000. It costs us $20,000. $20,000 in infrastructural costs. They pay about $10,000 in taxes. You really want to do something to restore the people's faith in government? Do something about illegal immigration. Don't just talk about it.
Okay, Jerry?
Very sad.
Governor Romney, trade keeps popping up here, so let's bore in on it a little bit. By one estimate, the U.S. has lost 5 million jobs to overseas trade since 1989, and the U.S. must borrow every day $2 billion from overseas to pay for its imports. President Bush says trade is still good for America. Are you a Bush Republican on trade?
Well, I believe in trade, but I believe in opening up markets to American goods and services. And it's been calculated that the average family in America is $9,000 a year richer because we have the ability to sell products around the world. And a lot of people in this country make their living making products that go around the world. But it's also true that the people who negotiate these agreements, the people who sit down with the Chinese and sit down with the Mexicans and others, are people, by and large, who spent their life in politics. and the politicians come together and try to understand how the economy works. I think I'm probably the only guy on the stage who spent most of his career in the business world. I understand how the economy works. I understand how if you make a certain adjustment in the agreement, it's going to have a huge impact on the United States. And so when, for instance, we agree to sit down with China, I understand that if we don't get real careful and protect patents and designs and technology, that what we tend to sell the most of, those kinds of things, intellectual property, is going to get stolen by the Chinese or by others. That we have to recognize agreements have to be in our benefit, not just in their benefit. And so as I look across the agreements we've made, I recognize we're going to have to do a better job. We're going to have people who understand how the business world works, how the economy works, and make sure that the playing field really is level by having people who know something about the economy and understand the business world being part of that effort. And I want to make sure that the American worker gets a fair shake. We need to make sure that the Chinese begin to float their currency and they protect our designs and our patents and our technology. We need to make sure that the American workers don't have to carry the burden of extra taxes as we sell our products around the world. They come here without that tax embedded. We can do a better job, and I want to do a better job for the American worker. And by the way, this is key for Michigan. And for me, Michigan is personal. I'm going to go to work to help Michigan.
Thank you, Governor. Mayor Giuliani, foreign acquisitions in the United States are headed for a record in 2007, and yet some money is still turned away. A Dubai company could not acquire our ports. A Chinese company could not acquire Unical. Has this company